Good evening. Welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Bill Bailey. In the news this week, at a Labour conference hotel breakfast bar, some disappointed customers are told that the honey nut loops are all gone. On his first proper skiing holiday, Prince George is allowed to bring along his working-class school friend. And in Paris, the Irish Olympic team present organisers with a last-minute suggestion for a new games format. Genius. That is genius. On Ian's team tonight is a journalist who once wrote an article entitled "What Happens When a Joke is Followed by Silence?" And looking at the audience tonight, I don't think it'll be long before we find the answer. So, please welcome Helen Lewis. And on Paul's team tonight is a comedian who last appeared on this show opposite Helen Lewis, with guest host Bill Bailey. Sorry, for a minute there, I thought I'd nodded off during a very long recording. Please welcome Daliso Chaponda. So, we begin with the bigger news stories of the week. Ian and Helen, have a look at this.
Oh, local elections, Boris being arrested.
There's a winner. Oh, and there's a loser.
Yeah, that's Rishi. I've won one seat.
And that's a defector.
Somebody forgot to cancel their Green Book subscription, I see.
Yes, this is the news that a number of female mayors has for the first time overtaken the number of mayors called Andy. So, what did nobody see coming?
Well, everybody saw a Tory rout coming, and it was indeed a Tory rout. They lost 500 councillors, they lost the West Midlands mayoralty, they lost the Blackpool South by-election, and they lost their passion for life, Bill.
And at the end of the evening, the Lib Dems had won more councillors than the Tories. Now, that's bad.
And now, to get some clarity on the situation, it's over to BBC Politics Live.
From the evidence.
This is the third year in a row where the...
Don't talk over each other.
Blackpool, no, Blackpool...
I think that all makes it very clear.
It does. And they had a sort of defection as well, didn't they? Yeah.
They did.
Natalie Elphicke.
Yes, let's have a look. Yeah, there she is.
At the last minute, just before Prime Minister's question time, she defected. She crossed the floor, which is amusing because she's the MP for Dover and she's used to people crossing her.
And also, she was about as welcome as a surprise visit from Matt Hancock.
Well, you sound like you're speaking from experience, sir.
A lady never kisses and tells.
No.
But it was a surprise because she's defected to Labour and she's not a sort of centrist Tory. She's a sort of right-wing headbanger.
Yeah.
She was a member of the European Reform Group.
Right.
And she's really not considered anywhere near the Labour Party.
It doesn't seem to make any sense, does it? Because also she says she's going to be standing down at the next election, which will be in a few months. So why is she doing it?
Is she actually defecting or is she a mole?
She's only an MP because she took the job over from her husband because he was arrested and then found guilty of various sexual offences. But not only did Natalie Elphicke, after her husband was found guilty of these crimes, she took on the seat and she also had a go at the victims. And said they were asking for it. And then she and some other MPs tried to nobble the judge by writing him letters. Ooh, Helen's just thinking nobble is a bit strong, isn't it? They made representations to the judge.
To influence his decision?
Yes.
Go on, say it. Say it, go on.
And she also said that her husband was, quote, an easy target for women around.
Because he was attractive?
Yes, after he'd been convicted. And she has now apologised for that.
She only apologised today.
Yes.
Bit late. So she's not top recruit.
No.
For a party. I mean, if you were Keir Starmer, you could have said, that's lovely, but no.
Yeah.
But Penny Mordaunt, who is supposedly going to be the next Tory leader,
yes,
when she heard the news, she said, "I'm not sufficiently right-wing to join the Labour Party."
This might be awkward for Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves.
They had a spat over Marcus Rashford, the footballer, and his campaign for free school meals. And I believe she said that Natalie Elphicke could F off.
I think that's the words here. Fuck off.
Thank you for printing it out, because I had no idea what you were referring to.
No, that's right.
The words are there now. We can...
Dotting the I's, crossing the T's.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this might also be awkward for Keir Starmer as well. Why might that be?
He just looks a bit of a soft touch.
That's actually a very apposite description, because Natalie Elphicke has in the past repeatedly called him Sir Softy. And this is how the Sun newspaper imagined that.
Like a sort of 18th century ice cream.
Yeah. That's right.
That's Elton John going to a party.
Keir Starmer's theory is that he needs to get all kinds of people to vote Labour, so getting the most bonkers right-wing person possible to join the party, he can show what a broad church
You
they
see...
are. Could be you.
It could be you, yeah, slightly to the right of Goebbels. Yeah, so anyway...
Aren't they little furry creatures?
Yes, that's right. So, yeah, we're going back to the elections, right?
Yes.
And what happened to one of the Andys, Andy Burnham?
He did well.
Yes.
Perfectly boring re-election, steamed it, never in question.
He's been re-elected as King of the North. Look at this. Hey, there he goes. Oh, no, you see. Oh, who'd have thought an older man dancing would be embarrassing like that?
But what's interesting is they've obviously had two separate choreographers.
Yes. Shocking behaviour. There was a shock recount in the West Midlands mayoral contest for the Tory incumbent, Andy Street, and luckily a third Andrew Mitchell, was unruffled.
Is Andy Street going to lose? Where do you think it is?
Well, we know there's a recount, so we know either that Andy Street has won or that he has nearly won.
That's good, yeah.
This is an option.
I like that.
Andy Street
Yes.
eventually lost out to Labour, and also many people learned something about Andy Street. And what was that?
His middle name?
Coronation.
Yeah.
Is it that his partner is the luscious Michael Fabricant?
Yes, it is. The life partner, no less, of Michael Fabricant. I mean...
Is that really his...
That's him,
I
yes.
thought that's digitally altered for humorous effect.
No. No, that's him. I'm your father, Chewbacca.
There is a sort of resemblance to Harpo Marx now you look at it.
Yes.
Well, they share a holiday home in Snowdonia, apparently.
What, Michael Fabricant and Harpo Marx?
Yes.
Yeah.
Andy Street used to run John Lewis.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I found out. People thought he was a sensible candidate.
Yes.
But he lost anyway. And he did wear a rosette, whereas other candidates who were Tories just left them off.
No, that's right. Ben Houchen, yes.
Lord Houchen to you.
Is it Lord Houchen? I'm so sorry.
Certainly is one of those peerages that are so well...
Respected. You were well not just thinking about how much you respect him, weren't you?
I do.
He was re-elected as mayor in the Tees Valley. Here he is. And he said he forgot to wear his blue rosette. He also failed to mention either the Prime Minister or the Conservative Party in his victory speech. He said, "My job as mayor is to do what I can for local people, and if that means I have to work with the Prime Minister, to be frank, it doesn't matter to me who that is." Laura Kuenssberg shared on social media a bit of, well, she seemed to have some insight into the mayoral election.
Yes, it's going to be a very tight London mayoral election.
Oh, yes, she was talking about Sadiq Khan and Tory mayoral hopeful and possible crackpot Susan Hall. She said in a tweet, "No votes have been accounted yet, so hold on to your hats, but it's clear tonight that the race is much, much closer than some polls had suggested." But, in fact, it wasn't. This was Sadiq Khan's victory speech.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, London.
Go and kill London! Go and kill London!
That was the Britain First candidate, who was beaten by a bin.
There's a lot of Count Binface supporters in tonight.
Now, here's the thing. What has just been provided in the north of England as part of the effort for levelling up? Any thoughts? You'd think it would be something like, you know, I don't know, public services, trains, buses, something like that. But no, it's 20 outdoor chess tables that have been installed in the parks across the northwest at a cost of £50,000. Here's one in a park in the Wirral.
Don't you sort of need the pieces?
Well...
They only had 50 grand. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the government hopes that the chess tables will help England create more Grand Masters and return the country to a higher position in the world rankings. Bloody hell, no pressure then. Right.
With just 20 of these, this will be a chess.
With no chess pieces in the... outdoors in the rain.
Yeah. Spirit of British amateurism. Yes, we played with no pieces at all.
No pieces.
Checkmate, where? I'm not going to tell you.
And further north, who has become the keeper of the Scottish seal?
John Swinney.
John Swinney, yes.
John Swinney, yes.
Yeah.
He's already had one go at it, and it worked out so well, they've got him back again to be head of the SNP again.
Yes, it's John Swinney, you're right. He's been sworn in as the new First Minister of Scotland and is now keeper of the Scottish seal. Here he is. That's him, just about to make a couple of waffles. And...
Everyone was so supportive. Like, you know, Sturgeon tweeted his support and Humza tweeted his support. And I was just disappointed because I feel like after 30 years, there should be more, like, backstabbing and a little bit more Shakespearean drama.
Macbeth, you're thinking of Macbeth.
Yeah. Yes, it is. The Scottish play and the Scottish are really not that, you know, like poison his haggis, something.
They did get rid of him, the predecessor, pretty brutally. I mean, they didn't literally stab him in the back, but they did a bit.
They put him in a burning Volkswagen and pushed it off a cliff.
That's what I'm talking about.
What has reluctant taxpayer Nadeem Zahawi announced this week?
He's announced that he's going to be stepping down at the next election, and in his resignation letter, he said that every morning as he shaves his head, he thinks about his duty to his country.
Have you ever thought that?
I think...
Do you have to shave your head every morning?
How do I know?
Well, how would I know?
How would I know?
I know.
Well, that's right.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Well, he hasn't gone, has he? He's just said he's going to step down.
But they never step down. They all get a job somewhere, don't they? There'll be a consultant on some...
Well, he might have a problem, because if you remember, he was removed as chairman of the Conservative Party because he hadn't mentioned when he was Chancellor that he was being investigated by HMRC. It's the sort of thing you forget very easily when you're Chancellor of the Exchequer. You're raising taxes on other people, but yours...
Sorry, what was that noise he made?
He's not quite as camp as that, but...
Well, you are.
Yeah.
I got a letter from HMRC, right?
Yeah, ignore it.
You know... No, they wrote to me and they said, "Dear Mr Bailey, we noticed a suspicious drop in your earnings in 2020. Well, duh.
The letter to Baroness Moan says we noticed a suspicious raise.
Yes, exactly. And now, for all the latest news in the east of England, let's go over to Sean Peel, who seems to be operating the auto-cue with his foot.
Charlie Nagger, thank you. Good morning. I'm Sean Peel. In the local elections, it's been a bad night for the Conservative... It's been a bad night for the Conservative. They've lost more than 30 councillors across the 6 authorities where overnight counting took place. In Peterborough, which recently... I do apologise, we seem to be having some problems this morning.
Continuing our regional roundup, what forlorn-looking creature was spotted outside a polling station in the New Forest?
Was this Boris?
Well, no. Let's have a look. There you see.
it is.
Yes, Jesus was turned away, didn't he, ID? One BBC presenter made a bit of a slip when she referred to the top election expert, John Curtis, as Richard Curtis. Although... I mean, to be fair, the Tories had just lost Notting Hill and Dibley East, so fair enough. This week, top sword wrangler Penny Mordaunt tried to play... What? Penny Mordaunt, the one that held the thing.
That's the worst.
I know! Penny Mordaunt played down rumours that she is to be installed in number 10 rather like a new boiler. Others insist it could happen as soon as next Thursday, although they can't say whether it be morning or afternoon. Paul and Daliso, take a look at this.
Right, if I was a little bloke, I wouldn't walk through big doors. That's the first thing I say. There we... Oh, look, why did they do that stupid walk? Oh, hello, who's this? Steven Seagal,
Steven Seagal?
Yeah.
Bloke in the middle with the natural-looking hair. Yes, so this is, much to everybody's surprise, Vladimir Putin has become, whichever he is, President, Prime Minister, Lord and Ruler of Russia, again for the fifth time.
Yes, a shock win.
Result.
Shocking,
Yeah.
shocking. And still all the pomp and circumstance.
They can do a rigged election pretty well, can't they?
Pretty well. And look, I'm African and they're top-notch.
Yeah.
whole other level.
Seagal, what was he doing there? Steven Seagal,
I love the
why
fact
is he there?
that a washed-up action star is now a prop to Putin, and I think we need more of this. Each nation should have one as their champion.
Yeah. There's a picture of Seagal here. He has been on the old Just for Men, you know.
Just for Raccoon, I mean,
he's just... Look at it. He looks a bit like Ming the Merciless there.
Yeah.
There you go. I would say that Ming the Merciless's moustache, beard and headgear are more convincing. Yeah, Putin had a very long walk to get to the ceremony. Do you want to have a look at it?
Yeah, go on, Em.
Go on, then. Let's have a look at it. So here he goes. Around the corner, so walk there. So I walk down here.
Long walk to
building up a big static charge on that carpet.
Rather reminiscent of a sequence in The Shining, I think.
Yes. Well, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
So, did you notice anything peculiar in that ceremony?
Big doors.
Everything.
Yes. The guards.
Two of them walking along, yeah.
Well, they did something odd, though.
When he came through the doors, they
They
started
do a
leaning.
weird... Yes. They look at him in a funny way.
Oh, I wouldn't be doing that.
Well, no, I mean... Ooh, hello.
Yeah.
It's a bit camp, though, isn't it? Do you think it's like, oh, look at him, who does he think he is? You know, it just looks... There's another one who's coming through a door, and this soldier does a weird leaning thing here.
I mean, he might well end up being arrested for being tall.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Putin is still on his long walk.
Yeah, go on, Em.
Let's have a... Still going, not far now, mate.
He keeps changing the constitution, so at this rate, he's still going to be in charge of Russia when he's 83. Could you imagine any other country having...
Yeah. Who has never been put off by the harshness of the Russian regime? Here's a clue. He recently was elected to Parliament. Wears a hat.
George Galloway?
Yes, that's the one.
Right.
Here is a little...
Is he behind one of the doors?
Here's a clip of him talking about something rather in his impassioned tones. Let's have a look.
I have been in a gay bar with the village people throbbing out YMCA within earshot of Lenin's tomb.
I saw a tweet that said that is the best way to explain why you're late for work.
Yes. So, staying with authoritative world leaders, what have we learned...
George Galloway?
Yes, well, all right, people like that. What have we learned about Donald Trump this week?
Way too much.
Yes. Oh, God.
Like,
yes.
this was Stormy Daniels was cross-examined in the trial.
Yep.
Spoke rather graphically about their sexual encounter.
Yeah.
Although the defence have successfully argued for some of the salacious details to be withheld, so there's stuff we're not allowed to hear.
Yeah. I mean, I listened to as much as there was, and
Why does it sound like an ashamed admission?
But he acted some of it out.
a lot of detail was missing. So when Stormy Daniels spanked Trump with a rolled-up magazine, they didn't say which one.
Yeah.
That's true.
Someone said it was Forbes magazine, and they said it wasn't them. They've disowned the spanking incident. I mean, all that marketing potential wasted on Forbes.
He said this week, I've just found out who the witness is tomorrow. They didn't tell us who it was going to be. Here I am, accused of having an affair with Stormy Daniels, and who should turn up? Well, that's the same woman.
Yeah. Did you hear how the BBC's correspondent Sarah Smith described the mood?
He had to listen to her admit she had publicly called him an orange turd.
And his lawyers didn't do any favors because they asked, who did you mean when you said orange turd? Obviously, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
If he wears one of those orange suits, his face completely disappear, won't it? It just look like an empty suit walking around.
What is the most unbelievable part of Stormy Daniels' testimony?
I mean, if she said she enjoyed it, I would find that quite hard to believe.
Yes. Well, it sort of went on a long time, didn't it? I mean, she sort of says she walks into the hotel room and finds him with his silk pyjamas. Then he changed out of it into a suit and tie. And then she continued chatting to him for several hours. Then had sex with him.
Was she on the clock, though?
Sorry, did you say she was on the clock? I just misheard, that's all.
Trump's lawyers said the one thing we don't want to discuss is genitalia. And given that it's about whether they had sex or not, I thought this is going to come up, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, your joke. You did that.
Go on, get out.
Appalling.
Filth mongers. The reasonable man speaking.
Oh, yes. Grow up. Come on, grow up,
And you
everyone.
made him seem like a smutty 7-year-old schoolboy.
I didn't mean that at all.
I know you didn't.
No, I didn't mean that about the flipping sword either.
It's just that people assume that you did.
Yes.
They're a good judge of character.
Yeah, clearly. So at least there's hope for the American people at the next election in the shape of Robert Kennedy Jr.
Oh, yes.
And what has he revealed this week?
A worm got into his brain and started eating part of his brain and then died. And that's why he's not got a good memory.
Incredibly, that is exactly what happened.
I know. What?
What, he actually died?
He was...
No, Kennedy died and the worm went on to become a senator.
By the way, let's see how Putin's getting on.
Yeah, go on, how's he getting on?
Oh, there we go, yeah, it's still going. Go on, mate. Just down the stairs, straight on, keep going. It's been a busy week for the world's top men. President Xi of China, what's he been up to?
He's visiting Europe, isn't he?
That's correct.
Was it Germany he was in?
A state visit to France.
France, yes.
Yep.
President Xi and his wife got to watch some local entertainment. It was a lovely day out.
In some eyes, that could be declared an act of war.
According to Reuters, China and France have now agreed a deal, which should boost pork exports by 10%.
Oh,
hold on.
I know what's coming.
Someone else get here first.
Oh, I know what's coming.
In December, I'll be in Beijing, opening up new pork markets.
Doesn't get any better.
No. So, to round two, it's time for the picture spin quiz.
Yeah.
Fingers on buzzers, teams. Oh.
That's an orchestra. I've seen one of them before.
Yes, you'd be right.
It was Ian Bostridge, the countertenor. Is this right? He shouted at the audience and said,
yes,
stop using your phones.
That's correct.
And then they said, it says on the wall outside, come inside, take pics and share it with your friends.
Yeah, basically, that's the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra, and they're allowing audiences to film concerts on their phones. Some people have taken issue with it. There's a pianist, Sir Stephen Huff.
Yes.
Yes.
He's not happy. In fact, well, you could say he's in a huff. He's due to be playing Brahms' Piano Concerto No. 1 with the orchestra later this year. And he tweeted he was happy to be filmed by the audience, except during the following bars when I really need to concentrate and could be distracted. And these are 95, first movement 91 to 118, 123 to 176, 185 to 199, 2 to 6 to 341, 352 to end. Second movement, these bars to end. Third movement, all of these bars to end. And the classical music blog Slip Disc clarified that these bars amount to the total contributions of the soloist in the concert. I did a gig in the Outer Hebrides, and...
oh, I wondered who got that gig.
Yeah, and... well, the thing was... and I did this gig, and I walked on. Somebody looked at it and they said, it's him, right? And I said, who do you think it was going to be? And they said, we thought they'd send a lookalike. Which is that's the level of expectation in the Outer Hebrides. There's no way it'll be the real Bill Bailey. Yeah.
Can I ask if there is such a thing as a Bill Bailey impersonator?
Of course there is. There's hundreds of them. This is one here, look.
The trouble is, though, sometimes it works both ways. There was a guy who looked exactly like me, got involved in a violent drunken assault on a tube platform, and the headline said, Bill Bailey lookalike punches man. I was like, what? Don't drag me into it. He's got a beard and he's, you know...
Yeah, but you don't know what happened, though. Somebody might say, hey, you look like Bill Bailey, don't you start.
Well, I was on the tube and there were two very nice ladies and one of them said, oh, look, it's Ian Hislop. The other one said, leave him alone, he doesn't look anything like him.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah. Some people, they assume that you must be a lookalike. Somebody came up to me and they poked me and he went, nice try. Nice try. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Oh, yes. I saw this story. This is about hanging baskets, isn't it? In Cambridgeshire, is it? And suddenly they're not allowed to tie hanging baskets to lampposts because of the so-called risk of having an electric shock. Health and safety gone mad.
Health and safety gone mad, yes, exactly right. Cambridgeshire County Council told residents that hanging floral baskets from lampposts is reckless behaviour. And they can only do it if they attend a £165 health and safety course. The president of the Chatteris in Bloom Floral Festival, Susan Unwin, she's come up with a solution to this problem. Can you imagine what that might be?
They're not going to hang any baskets?
Well, she said she'll just hold them up herself.
Good for her.
Who else has made the news for complaining to the local council here? No, this is a serial complainer, David Fairchild, who has been dubbed the Weasenham Whinger. Here he is.
He doesn't, in this picture, seem like a complainer. He seems so happy.
He complained that a new complaints policy created by the local council unfairly targets him. He said the new policy allows them to limit communication with any parishioner who uses abusive language, sends too many emails, or questions the integrity of councillors. And how did David describe this policy? He said it was 4 pages of trollop.
That's Anthony.
Yes. Whoa, what? What complaints has David made to the council? No.
No.
Neighbours.
He made 31 complaints. Incorrect invoicing, grass cutting without supporting documentation. And then, as a result of his complaints, the entire parish council resigned.
He's effective.
Yeah, quite effective.
Can he start complaining to the Tories tomorrow?
Here's a picture of Mr. Fairchild in his office. Surrounded by bottles of whiskey, I'm going to guess mainly drunk by his wife. So,
You'll be getting a letter of complaint from her.
Well, yes. All right, time now for the odd one out round. Just one between you this week. They are North Yorkshire Council, Daniel Defoe, calligrapher Stephanie von Verten-Gill, and boulanger Rodolphe Londemaine.
Isn't that the guy who has shocked France with his vegan croissant?
Yes. He's actually kind of extraordinarily shocked. He's left the butter out.
Everybody has left something out. So North Yorkshire in the news for leaving out the apostrophes on road signs.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
She is the woman who did the coronation roll.
Yes.
And there was a story about she didn't dot one of the I's.
Yes, that's correct.
Daniel Defoe, he used to be called Daniel Foe, and then he shoved a dirt
So
in.
he's added something in.
He's added something in.
No, that is the correct answer. Yes, well done.
Oh,
Very,
well,
very
we
good,
got
yes.
there.
Absolutely right. They've all left something out, apart from Daniel Defoe, who added the de to make him sound a bit more aristocratic, a bit posher. So let's have a look at North Yorkshire Council.
Yes.
Because they actually have, as you say, removed some apostrophes and...
St Mary's Road, I think, was one.
That's right, St Mary's Walk. And viewers of a grammatical disposition now look away because... Oh,
Okay,
no.
right.
Yeah, that's a job for the Weason and Whinger. There he goes. How are the critics of this scheme getting their own back to try and sort of fix this?
With a felt tip pen, surely.
Yeah, they're using permanent markers to put apostrophes, hyphens and ampersands back on the signs. Phew. Look, here we go. There's the locals there. See? You see? Yeah. There, look at that. Why have they made this ridiculously unpopular decision?
Because they've got an incredibly old computer system that can't handle apostrophes.
Yeah, that's basically it. Yes. It causes confusion with their computer systems.
I found out a couple of years ago that all British nuclear submarines run on, like, Windows 98, and they can't update the operating system.
Oh, my God.
It's better if you don't think about it.
I didn't know there were windows on a submarine. I didn't know that.
Speaking of computer errors, what was Post Office lawyer Jarnail Singh accused of at the Horizon inquiry this week?
Lying.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
He said, I shouldn't have ignored the fact that we knew about the system not working.
Yeah. He was accused of lying after he denied having seen an email identifying a bug in the system, despite being presented with evidence that he'd saved a copy to his hard drive and apparently printed it off. He said he didn't know how he'd done it, as he didn't know how to save a document. Yeah, here he is at the inquiry. What did royal calligrapher Stephanie von Verten-Gill leave out of the King's coronation roll?
A dot on the I, or was it crossing a T?
It was. A single dot on the I at the very end.
Because it was a list of all the people who'd attended the coronation. So it's actually my name.
Oh.
No.
It was an extraordinary piece of work. It stretches for 69 feet. It took her 56 continuous days to inscribe the 11,500 words in copperplate, and it was unfurled in front of them. Charles commented that it goes for miles. And the Queen said, goodness me, I won't attempt to read it without my specs. And then Charles added, this is in English. So, speaking of going on for Mark, let's have a look about Putin. That's where he's gone to.
Oh, Vladimir.
Come on, man. He's still there.
We believe in you.
Come on, just through that door, mate. Straight on. So, what did the head of conservation at the National Archives, Sonia Schwoll, say about the scroll? It's something about the longevity of it, which has changed, the material.
It's no longer written on vellum?
That's right. They didn't like the animal skin, so the 21-metre coronation roll is now being printed on vegan paper, or as it's otherwise known, paper.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking about the bloke with the vegan croissant.
Yeah.
How would you think the French have reacted to that?
Have they gone...
The entire country.
You're brilliant at languages. You just pick them up.
Cookery teacher Olivier Boudot said, "It's difficult for me to even talk about it." Les croissants géants.
C'est merveilleuse.
Énorme.
Comme la lune.
Can I just point out I did metalwork, so I don't know what you're talking about.
A new fad of creating extra-large pastries seems to have taken off after pâtissier Philippe Conticini invented a 1 kilogram giant croissant.
Wow.
Yeah, look at that.
At what point is it just a bread roll?
Gosh, that is an awfully big croissant.
It is a very big croissant. Or it could be a normal-sized croissant in a tiny cup. We don't know. Yeah, they've all have left something out, apart from Daniel Defoe, who he correctly identified, added something to his name to make himself more aristocratic. According to the Daily Mail, protesters in North Yorkshire are now using permanent markers to put apostrophes, hyphens and ampersands back on road signs. They're also chanting, "What do we want?" ? Our punctuation back! ! What do we want it? ? Ellipsis. Now, full stop. On to the coronation. At the end of the ceremony, King Charles is handed the coronation roll. It was a bit mean. His mum got the whole chicken. So... It's time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication SUP Mag. This is the magazine for people who like to do stand-up paddleboarding in Britain's seas and rivers. And lucky for them, every issue now comes with a free packet of Imodium. So, we start with, have you ever tried to what on a plane? It isn't easy.
Get anywhere.
Take your paddleboard on a plane.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, well done.
Get a 14-foot paddleboard on a plane. It isn't easy. This is Holly Pye, who explains that if you're planning on flying with your paddleboard, you must have a backup plan in case you're not allowed on the plane. Surely the paddleboard is the backup plan, isn't it? Next, fans of doner kebabs delighted by news that what?
Should we touring in the spring?
The answer is government could spend billions of euros subsidising them. It's become such a big political issue that during press conferences, Chancellor Olaf Scholz is often asked about the price of kebabs, followed up by someone at the back going, "Mate, can I use your toilet?" Next, adding a what to your what is becoming increasingly popular.
Adding a rudder to your paddleboard is becoming increasingly popular. An engine, a teddy bear.
That's it.
An engine?
Yes.
An engine?
Well, yeah, something... What's like an engine on a boat?
Well, a motorboat engine. First thing I can think of. An elastic band wound up.
Yes.
Propeller.
Propeller, yes. Adding a propeller to a propulsion unit, sorry. This is...
It's not propeller, is it?
It's the same thing. Next, woman surprised to find what after builders had left?
Self-pregnant.
Is it job?
Self-pregnant.
And they didn't even give me an estimate.
It's a job well done.
Oh, it's going to be one of those, isn't it? It's a surprise to find a portrait of Jesus in a brick.
You're very close. It is the face of Yoda on her wall.
Face of Yoda?
Yeah, fixie wimmo. So,
It's another lookalike. I'm sorry.
Offended I am. Well, that's all from tonight. Surrey resident Rebecca Pack was surprised to find the face of Yoda staring back at her from a newly plastered wall. Let's have a look.
Like random alien. That's not Yoda.
That's no. I mean, no, exactly. Cowboys. So, next. If you suddenly hear a loud, aggressive buzzing noise in your garden, what?
It could be a special hornet from South Africa, South America, South London.
It could be a cockchafer.
Oh.
What are they?
Well,
Tight underpants, aren't
yeah,
they?
cockchafers.
Can you look it up? Can you look up tight underpants?
Next, fat stick hard case is one of the best.
Rap artists currently on the scene.
If only that were true, Ian.
The first bit of that sentence was extremely current, but the second bit, currently on the scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
I lost confidence
I know.
halfway through.
One of the top paddle boarders.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's one of the top paddle boards on the market.
Yeah.
Yes. This is from an interview with the SUP mag Gavin Knox, who says he's been paddling for over 12 years. Strong current. Finally, Lord Williams of Oystermouth thinks what are boring?
Normal names.
Something happens in church.
Praying. Praying.
Hymns, yes.
Oh, hymn.
Oh, yes.
It's saying that hymns sung today are boring.
Oh.
This is the previous Archbishop, is it?
That's right, Rowan Williams. He's
Why does he
now
call himself Oystermouth?
I think it's just an affliction, isn't it?
a bit gritty and he's got a pearl in one corner.
That's it, yeah. And it's very difficult to open. How you doing, Archbishop? Shucks.
Oh, no, come on. No. The former Archbishop of Canterbury, Rowan Williams, has said too many church services are accompanied by songs people hear at primary school. Nothing wrong with that. We cremated our Auntie Elsie to the tune of My Friend Billy and 10-Foot Willie.
He didn't need a paddle board, did he?
The final scores are Ian and Helen have 7, Paul and Daliso 6. But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
RAF cutbacks severely hit the Red Arrows display team.
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Helen Lewis, Paul Merton and Daliso Chaponda. And I leave you with the news that as record winds hit New York City, Donald Trump is told his wig may have blown further away than he thought. In Wakefield, one woman gasps in horror as she realises, out of politeness, she accidentally asked another question. And on a military exercise on the Rhine, one German recruit mishears the command, "Advance, wir sind the Panzers!" Good night.